GameRanks presents the top 10 new PlayStation 4 games of 2017. These are our most anticipated and the games you should probably care about in 2017. We've got a good mix of games here, including some PS4 exclusives, and we're looking forward to hearing yours, but let's get started off with ours with number 10. For Honor is the next big AAA Ubisoft game, and while we're usually skeptical about Ubisoft games, this one seems strikingly different. Its intense focus on very calculated and hardcore swordplay, one-on-one and small battles, just seems really interesting, and it seems like it could have a really good gameplay hook. So far, previews and people who have played the alpha have been into this game, and while it does seem like they're focusing a lot on multiplayer and the strong aspects there, it does also seem like the game has a good single-player campaign to boot. While it doesn't seem like anything you can really compare close to Dark Souls, I think I would compare the gameplay swordplay style to it a bit, with the fact that it's very much focused on calculated movements, using your shield properly, blocking, parrying, and swinging at the right time. We're just really hoping that For Honor shapes up to how good it actually looks. And at number 9, we have Ni no Kuni 2, The Revenant Kingdom. The original Ni no Kuni was a surprise, underrated gem, and it was released at the tail end of the PS3's life cycle, but it was an awesome game, and Ni no Kuni 2 is shaping up to be quite the same. But at the same time, it's also taking a very different focus. The game, like the original though, is inspired by the Studio Ghibli art style, and it's very much a focused, story-based JRPG. This time around, it seems set up much differently, with you actually playing as the characters of the stories themselves in the battle, despite a more Pokemon style thing in the original game. And honestly, I'm all about that. It seems like a welcome change. The art style is intact, and if it's anything near as awesome as the original Ni no Kuni was, its sequel could definitely surprise a lot of PlayStation fans. And at number 8, we have Ghost Recon Wildlands, another Ubisoft game that we're actually very skeptical of after being kind of somewhat burned by The Division. But Ghost Recon Wildlands' formula is too hard to ignore, at least the setup. It looks like kind of like The Division, combined with open elements of the newer Far Cry games, and if it turns out to work and not be a pile of garbage, it could be an incredibly awesome game, not to mention some squad-based multiplayer stuff in an open world. It just looks like a lot of fun. So far, we've seen a lot, from multiplayer to single-player action, to slow-paced stealth missions, to all-out action scenes and riding dirt bikes down mountains and raiding drug lord cartel dens. Ghost Recon in the past has been a very solid series. There hasn't been that much of a disappointing Ghost Recon game yet, so we're really hoping that Wildlands continues that trend. And at number 7, we have Nier Automata, a Platinum-developed action RPG that just looks really cool. You can't deny the art style, the character designs, and the enemy designs here are awesome. Not to mention it's a game being developed by Platinum, which has been having their hit and misses lately, but this very much looks like one of those, good Platinum games. It's actually the second Nier game, which is actually a spin-off of the Drakengard series, but Platinum has spoken about how they are very much aware that they don't think that many people have played the other games that are going to be playing this game, so they are making it accessible. But what really seems to be the meat and potatoes here is the interesting main character and the insane action combat focus. The main leaders behind this game are really a bunch of all-stars. The producer worked on Dragon Quest, the game director worked on the Drakengard series, the character designer worked on Final Fantasy and Bravely Default, and of course this is Platinum, and they are the guys behind Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. After the cancellation of Scalebound, I think players are really rooting for Platinum to win us over with another good one. And at number 6, we have Resident Evil 7, one of the most unconventional Resident Evil games ever, seeing as how it's completely different and first person, also manages to somewhat maintain that Resident Evil feel. At the time of this video, we still have a lot of unanswered questions about the game, but overall the response so far has been somewhat mixed to somewhat very positive. But I think there's also a lot of weight resting on Resident Evil 7's shoulders, at least for the Resident Evil series. Seeing as this is a bit of a soft reboot, it's also a big deal for Capcom, who's put a lot of money into it, and it's also maybe the first big AAA VR game being exclusively on PlayStation VR. You can play through the entire game. Is it going to be scary? Hopefully. Is it going to feel like a Resident Evil game? Hopefully. As much as it seems weird and not what a Resident Evil fan would really technically want, everything about it does seem to be shaping up to make an interesting game, so we're betting our cards on it. And at number 5, we have Persona 5, the latest game in a series that is criminally underrated and totally awesome. This is very much a JRPG, but a lot of people who don't like those types of games still find themselves hooked on Persona for some reason. Maybe it's the story and the setup, which once again tackles you being a high schooler. This time, you're a voiceless protagonist, but you essentially battle between two worlds. It's hard and weird to explain, but the game has been released already in Japan to critical acclaim. People are loving it, and we're hoping that the Western launch is just as successful. Not only that, but it looks like Persona 5 has like one of the coolest, craziest styles we've seen in any game, let alone a Persona Persona game. There's been a lot of hype for this one, and we're really hoping it lives up to it. And at number 4, speaking of hype, we have the Sony exclusive Guerrilla Games developed Horizon Zero Dawn. This is an open world action RPG that kind of spins regular sci-fi post-apocalyptic conventions on its head, with you, the main human character, being somewhat of a wild, primitive person fighting against wild animals that are actually technical robots. The world and the setting and the story here seem really unique, and I think that's where the most excitement really is for Horizon Zero Dawn. The gameplay looks fun with hunting monsters and setting traps and stuff like that, but it's really just the fact that Horizon Zero Dawn is completely new IP, meaning that it is a new game. It is not a sequel to anything, it's just a fresh start. Players really tend to latch onto that, and for good reason. Sometimes we need something fresh, and Horizon Zero Dawn looks to be the answer. And at number 3, we have Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy. This is something that had been rumored for years and hoped for years, and now it's finally a thing. We're getting the original 3 Crash Bandicoot games completely redone, reworked, and remastered. And I gotta say, they look pretty goddamn incredible. I think the gameplay will really age pretty well. I think this game will stand the test of time, but I'm very curious to see how some younger gamers are going to embrace this game, because it is very different and it is very, very 90s. That being said, the first 3 Crash Bandicoot games, the original ones made by Naughty Dog, are some of the best games out there, so this is probably a surefire hit. And at number 2, we have Mass Effect Andromeda, a game that seems like it's been in the works forever, is finally releasing. And it's releasing sooner than we expected. We've finally gotten some looks at the game and some gameplay, but all of our questions still aren't answered, and it seems like we're gonna have to wait until the game is actually released. But this is a whole new thing for Mass Effect, a new cast of characters, the new Andromeda galaxy to completely explore, and honestly, I just can't wait to take my main character and see how many other characters in the game I can make out with. But hey, that's just me. It does look like Mass Effect Andromeda is very much more focused on combat this time around. Things seem way more fast-paced and action-heavy, with the actual RPG stuff really taking place in the background and under the hood, but I don't think that's totally a bad thing. I just really hope it lives up to those super Mass Effect fans' high expectations. And at number 1, we have Red Dead Redemption 2, a game that we debated putting on this list because a lot of us really think it's going to be delayed and pushed into 2018. But at the time of this video, Rockstar has released the first trailer, with it boldly claiming fall 2017. So we're thinking and we're hoping this is going to be one of the best and biggest games released in 2017. Red Dead Redemption 2 so far looks to be a prequel, taking place once again in the West, but a new land, and possibly setting up and being able to play as multiple different characters, like a bunch. We don't know for sure yet, but honestly, we do highly trust in Rockstar Games because their track record is pretty proven, and if it's anything close to how good Red Dead Redemption was, we're hoping that Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be one of our favorite games of 2017, but time will tell. Of course, you guys know there are a ton more games releasing for PS4 in 2017. We couldn't fit them all, so we just compiled our favorites. We also have some bonuses, including South Park, The Fractured But Whole. The Team Ninja developed Neo, and while it's not technically a game, it still looks pretty awesome, Uncharted 4's Uncharted Lost Legacy. But like I keep saying, there are way more games releasing in 2017, so we want to hear yours down in the comments. If you got a top 5 or a top 10 most anticipated, definitely hit us with it down in the comments. We'll be down there chatting it up with you guys, and you know the drill by now. Clicking the like button helps us out a ton, but if you are new, subscribing, clicking that circle subscribe button really helps us out, and we appreciate it, and you can see our videos that we put out every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.